Hi, I'm Jim, W6LG, your ham radio Elmer here on YouTube. Welcome to my radio room in Rockland, California. A lot of people have been asking where I've been the last 3 months. It's not a pretty story, but I'll tell you all about it right after this. This video is being recorded as a result of a question sent by Randy, K7AGE, my former neighbor. Randy Hall and I are good friends, and in a YouTube, he asked if folks would send a get well card to me as a QSL card, and believe it or not, I've received a few hundred. Our mail lady is probably wondering who in the world is this guy. In any case, thank you to all. Wonderful comments, heartfelt. Can't tell you how much it means to me to have gotten those cards. It really helped a lot. I've been in the hospital 3 weeks, 3 different weeks, a week each time. And the first time was kind of bizarre, but and a little bit scary, at least for my wife. The Kaiser has several facilities in Northern California. There's a blood draw place where you can be phlebotomized in Lincoln, California, and that's just north of us a little bit. And so we went there because I was required to get blood draws done twice a week, Monday and Thursday. And so on a Monday, we went there to get the blood draw done. My wife waited in the car. I walked in, but I was having trouble walking. I would get like 20, 30, 40 feet and run out of oxygen. And got inside the facility and checked in. The lady at the registration desk, who's also a phlebotomist, said, "Are you okay?" And I said, yeah, I'm fine. So I go around the corner into the area where you sit to wait your turn, because there are several stations where they're drawing blood. Usually there's about 3 people working. And when I went through the door, the lady said, "Have a seat." And I said, "No, I'll stand. I've been sitting for a while." And she said, "No, sit down." And again, I sort of objected, and she came back with, "No, sit down, and sit down now," which I did do. And next thing I know, she's calling for an emergency to have people come in and check me out, which they did. They took me into a room, put me on a hospital bed. Nurses flooded the room. They were putting sensors on my chest. Another one was taking my blood pressure, which was really low. And next thing I know, one of the nurses is saying, "Call 911, call 911." Prior to that, when the nurses came running in, it was because there was an alarm set off, not code blue, but something like that, to the laboratory. So next thing I know, there's the EMTs, EMS ambulances arrived, as has a fire truck with had to be all guys firemen. And meanwhile, my wife is out in the car, and she sees the fire engine showed up first, and then the ambulance. And she's wondering what the heck is going on, not thinking it's me. They called her on the phone and said, "Come on in, because Jim's going to have to go to the hospital," which I did do, and she followed in the car. I was diagnosed as having organ failure and was in trouble, so I was admitted to the hospital in the critical care unit and spent a week in the hospital. The next time, it's all kind of a blur, but the next time we drove to the emergency room, I was having some difficulties and again was admitted to the hospital for a week in intensive care in the ICU unit. The last time, or the third time, It won't be the last of them, I'm sure. I had an infection on my arm. They had done a blood draw, and it became cellulitis and sepsis, and that ranged from my armpit down to my wrist, and my arm became red and infected and warm to the touch, and it looked bad. And again, I was in the hospital for a week with antibiotics running into this arm and hand in two spots because they're doing saline and two different kinds of antibiotics at one time. So, and in between those times, I was receiving chemotherapy. Today I'm going to find out because the doctor's supposed to call at about 1:45. This is a Thursday. I think it's the 6th. And she's going to let us know whether or not she thinks I'm capable of resuming the chemotherapy, which was postponed. Each week in the hospital has frankly been hell. It's not their fault. It's just the way it is. You live by their schedule, and it's some nurses are great, some not so much. Anyway, that's where I've been. Chemotherapy, 2 cycles. I've got at least 2 more to go, maybe more because it's been postponed a solid month. 3 admissions for a week at a time, plus recovery at home. After I've gotten out of the hospital, I've come home and basically slept for a week, which didn't do my lungs any good. And during those trips to the hospital, during those times when I was an inpatient, I received 7 transfusions, and on Tuesday of this week, yet another. So I've had 8 transfusions based upon the blood test results from Monday. This afternoon, as I said, we meet with the doctor. In a couple of hours, we're going to go do blood work again. Hopefully, I don't get confined to the facility. The results should be in a few hours after that, and then we meet with the doctor. My hemoglobin has been very low, in the range of 6. My white count has been as low as 0.4, and my red count about 1.2 or 3. So I've been desperately ill some of the time. The diagnosis is myelodysplastic syndrome verging on leukemia, and it may have gone over to leukemia is what I'm thinking. The situation is I'm having trouble walking, going any distance at all, so my wife has to push me in the wheelchair, which is really hard. So we've rented a wheelchair. It goes in the back of the car. When we get to a facility, I get out. She pulls it alongside the car, and I get in, and then she has to push me the rest of the way, which is really hard. I'm at about 200 pounds. Some folks have asked if they could donate through Patreon. I'm going to try to set that up. It has not been easy for me to figure it out, but if I can get it going, I'll put it in the description. So, and this is an answer to Randy Hall as to how I'm doing and where I am and what's been going on the last 3 months. I have a couple of videos that I've got in process that I'd like to get finished related to ham radio. So hang in there. I'll try to get a couple of them done this weekend, depending on what happens later today. 73 from Jim, W6LG in Rockland, California, in my radio room. Thanks for watching. See you the next time. Bye-bye.